All right, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Dr. Ashley Dash here, founder and CEO of Resume ATM. I think you guys can all hear me and see me. I was on here live earlier, but then I got kicked off. So I came on early, make sure all the things are working, and it still didn't love me. So just bear with me, guys, for a second. So I'm going to make sure that you guys can hear me and see me on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and all the wonderful places. And we'll jump straight into the training. Um, if you are live, let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're live. Tell me hello in the comments section so that I know that you are here with me. All right, it looks like I am live. Looks like we are showing up on LinkedIn. Let's verify this on Facebook. And see, I think we are also live on Facebook. Great. Okay, guys. So happy September. Happy International Update Your Resume Month. That I did not make that up, guys. That is a thing. You can feel free to Google that information. I did not create the holiday, but I am very excited and happy to give you guys all the support you need in your careers to celebrate International Update Your Resume Month. Now, for those of you who were attended the previous training, you guys know we're in a 3-part series right now on stop doubting, start living, 3 secrets to your career breakthrough. Okay. So the previous section, we started with number 1. We talked about clarity and what you need to heal in terms of getting clarity in your career. So if you haven't got a chance to see that training, definitely go and check that out. And for everyone else who's kind of already caught up, today we're going to talk about phase 2. And phase 2 is all around branding. And this is where we talk about creating your profitable resume. Now, many of you guys know I speak and preach about profitable resumes all the time. And how it's different from regular resume. And essentially what a profitable resume is, it's a resume that's designed to make you money, which means how we approach it, how we think about it, how we design it, what the parts of it are all going to be a little bit different, a little bit of a shift in terms of a traditional resume, because the goal is the resume speaks for you when you're not in the room. Okay, it tells your story. It should be branded. It should be visually appealing. It should be all of these things, but it also should be impactful. It should also be able to tell a story without you having to verbally be in an interview conversation. We want someone to look at your profile resume and say, oh, we want to give him or her a 6-figure job. Okay. So what we're going to do today is actually walk through a profitable resume cheat sheet that I created to let you guys know to see if your resume is profitable, right? So it's the Get Hired Profitable Resume Checklist. If you are part of the Experience Career Freedom community via email, you guys already have access to this information. It's in your email. It's in the Google Drive that I shared with you all. So you already have access to that information. If you're new here and you're not quite sure how to access the information, if you can look at there should be a link down below. It says access to resources. Go to bit.ly. So it's bit.ly/Dr-Tips, Dr-DASH tips, all lowercase. You can get signed up to join the mailing list, and you get access to all of the resources that we'll be sharing this month. Not just today, but everything we've shared so far. So if you missed training 1, it's perfectly fine. The information is there for you in there. And there's some other goodies for you guys, okay? But today, the focus is on creating a profitable resume and walking through a checklist, okay? And I call it the Get Hired checklist, okay? So when we talk about resumes, we want to make sure that they make sense for people, okay? We also need to make sure they make sense for systems, right? And we need to make sure that it makes sense for how you show up and how you sound when you are showing up in the marketplace. So there are times when you can hire resume writers. I am a resume writer. People hire me. But I think it's important for people to sound like the person on their resume. Like the person on the resume, how they sound, how they talk, the words they use should be very similar to how you sound as a person. Because if I get your resume, I see all these wonderful things, and then I interview you, and you don't sound the same, I'm going to be confused, and I'm going to understand there's a disconnect here, right? And instead of asking questions, most hiring managers is going to realize there's a disconnect. There's a lot of other amazing candidates that they don't have these questions about, and they're going to move on. So essentially, you're going to get a rejection email. Okay, so it's very important for you guys to know that the resume has multiple functions. It's not only to get past the applicant tracking system to get a job, it's also to compel the hiring manager and the HR recruiters, right, the HR specialists, to actually select you. But it's also for you to showcase who you are, your authenticity, and how you sound and how you show up in the world. And one way we do that is we have a first impression. Okay, so if you have access to the drive right now, what I'm looking at right now is the Get Hired, the Profitable Resume Checklist, and I'm simply walking through this information with you. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. Okay, so on page 2, you're going to see first impression, right? And the first question I'm going to ask is, does the design look professional rather than a simple typing job? And that just means, is your resume pretty? Is it visually appealing? And I know this is a very simple question, but I think sometimes we overemphasize, we don't emphasize enough things that are beautiful. Most people like things that are easy to understand, clear, visually appealing, beautiful, pretty, whatever your term is, right? Does your resume look like that? When you look at your resume, does it make you feel proud? Just to look at it. We're not even talking about what the words on the page mean. But when you pull out your resume and you go to hand it to someone, do you feel confident that just visually it looks amazing? If it doesn't, then it's not profitable, and there's some things that we should change, okay? So that's going to be step 1, right? Is the resume inviting to read? Is it easy to understand? Does it have clearly marked sections? Do I know where your education is? Do I know where your your business summary is, right? Do I know where your work experience is? Is it easy for me to look out and read? And do you make it easy for me to identify the information, right? And I think about this all the time. When you guys are driving, like, there are signs on the roads. There are some signs that are beautiful, they are simple, they are easy, and they're helpful. That is the same thing we want for your resume. We want it to be simple, easy, clear, and beautiful, okay? And this is still under the first impression, right? We want to make sure that it has clearly marked sections, okay? Once we get past that, the next bullet point is looking at your resume. Is the content flow logical and easy to understand? Okay, most people use a chronological resume, but that's not the only option that you can use. There's combination resumes, right? There's technical skills. There's resume templates specifically for technical skills that maybe doesn't follow a chronological format. There's all types of ways to have a resume, and all the ways work for different reasons, right? So we don't have time to go through that today. But what you need to know is that regardless of whatever template you use, regardless of whatever option you choose, is the content flow logical and does it make sense? For example, is your name at the top of the resume, right? There's been so many times I've seen resumes without names or even without email addresses or contact information, right? Does it follow a logical flow? Okay. In America, which is primarily where we operate, we do have international clients, but today we're speaking specifically for the US. Typically, we read from top to bottom, from left to right. Okay. Does your resume follow natural human behavior, right? How you would actually read any document, not just a resume. Okay. If it doesn't, now would be the time to pull out a piece of paper, pull out that pen, open up that laptop and make it flow, right? Move things around. This is your marketing document. This is your branding document. You have permission to change things, to move things, to add color, to make things bold, to italicize. There's so many things you can do. But right now we're focused on, does this make sense? Does this tell the story that I wanted to tell, the brand that I want to share about where I want my next step? Okay, this is the difference between a regular resume and a profitable resume. Okay. The next question, we're still under first impression, right? But the next question under first impression is the resume's length and overall appearance appropriate given the career level and objective? Okay. That simply means, right, is your resume appropriate for what you're looking for? For example, typically, if you're a high school student, college student, right, maybe you haven't graduated yet, You probably don't have a 5 or 10 page resume. Okay. So unless we're talking about, let's say, federal positions. Federal resumes are a little different. So again, we're going to put that category to the side because they operate a little differently. But specifically in corporate America, you're not going to have a 10-page resume, right? As a college student, as a high school student, typically. Okay. As you get more into middle management, I don't want to say even management. You don't have to be a manager, but you get to the midpoint of your career, you probably have a resume that's maybe 2 or 3 pages, right? And at senior level, you probably have resumes like probably full 3 pages, possibly 4, but probably on a full 3 pages, right? Depending on what your experience it is and what the industry requires, does your resume match that, right? Most people don't know the answer to this question because they never thought about that. They don't know what resumes look like in their industry. They don't know, they haven't actually seen a lot of different resumes to compare it to, right? Your resume can be more than 1 page. That rule is still stuck in people's heads. And it's okay for a resume to be longer than a page, especially if you've already graduated high school, especially if you've already graduated college and you have really good experience. You already had your first job or 2. Okay. So the question, again, still under first impression, is the resume's length and overall appearance appropriate given the career level and objective? Okay. So again, you have to know your industry. You have to know what you're looking for. Like I said before, if you're applying for federal positions at usajobs.gov, we know those resumes can be 10, 12, 15 pages long sometimes, right? That is not the case in corporate America. So we are going through, for those of you just joining, thanks for joining. We are actually walking through right now, Get Hired, the profitable resume checklist. Okay. We want to make sure that your resume is designed to make you money. All right. Now we're going to move on to page 3, and we're talking about documenting and creating a profitable resume. We want to talk about the visual appearance. Okay. The first thing we talked about was the first impression. Now we're talking about the visual experience. And the question we're going to ask is there a good balance between text and white space? Right? A lot of people are really focusing on the words and the content, and we're definitely going to get to that. But there's some basic, simple, easy things that we can do to make our resume profitable and make it more inviting to read. Does the text space or the white space match? Is the font too big or small? Is everything crammed on a page? Can we read this information? What can we do to make our profitable resume visually appealing? Okay. Are there design elements such as bullet points and bolding and underline that guides a reader through the document to highlight the most important content? Right? Or is it all, like I said, just lines and lines and lines of page of information that I don't want to read? And I always kind of match it up to when I was in college, and sometimes you get these textbooks and it was just pages and pages and pages of information. And you would just open the book and you would instantly just want to close it, right? Just because you didn't want to deal with it. The same thing happens with people's resumes. What can you do to make your resume more appealing, right? For those of you who have seen my resume, have seen it many times, I have boxes and check marks and bullet points, and I guide my people through. I want their eyes to hit certain things. I want them to highlight certain information about my background, my experience, and my global HR brand. Okay. So again, this is all about visual experience. Does the resume provide a visually appealing presence? And what that means is, does it just look polished and professional, right? Have you ever seen a PowerPoint presentation that somebody did? You can tell the person, probably is really good at what they do in terms of their experience, but you can tell maybe they're not that great at PowerPoint, right? I think everyone's kind of experienced that or seen that somewhere in a presentation. And then you've also seen these amazing PowerPoint presentations, and maybe you didn't pay as much attention to the content because the template, the visual itself was beautiful. The same thing can happen with resumes. Is your resume polished and professional? Does it match? Does it look how you would want it to look? Again, this is all about confidence, right? And being able to say, yes, I'm Dr. Ashley Dash. This is my resume. And I'd be proud for people to see my resume. Like, oh, she really is an expert in this field. These are all the wonderful things that she's done. And it's laid out beautifully and truthfully and accurately. And it's all there for everyone to see. So the visual appearance is really, really important. This even goes down to details such as, are your margins even on all sides? Is spacing and font size used consistently throughout the document? For some people, you're saying, Ashley, why does this even matter? Right? Why is this such a big deal? And first of all, I think it's just important that we are consistent just in general. But I have seen HR professionals, I have seen managers discount people's ability based on mistakes on their resume. So, for example, if you use two different fonts and maybe you didn't pay attention, I've had hiring managers verbally say, well, they're not detail oriented, and this job requires someone detail oriented, so I'm not going to give them an interview. Okay. That is not a story that I made up. That is actually a real thing that happened. So we want to make sure that not only is everything polished and professional, that we pay attention to the details so that we don't give other people the opportunity to judge us and to discount us. Okay. And listen, everyone's entitled to make mistakes. We are all human. We all make mistakes. But in terms of having a profitable resume and really determining your future, this is not the time to do it, right? We should have people look at it. We should have people proofread it. We should be doing a lot of reviewing and re-reviewing of this information to make sure that we're shown in the best possible light. Once we move past the visual appearance, still on page 3, we're going down to career branding. And this is where we talk about some of the ATS. For those of you who don't know it, ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. This is where, the computers are scanning, looking for information. This is where career branding comes into play. Is your resume keyword rich? Is it packed with the appropriate industry words and information and software? Okay. This is not about making your resume buzzy, like, use all the buzzwords. It's not really about that. It's about understanding your industry. And most people in their industry, they have a certain language, they have a certain word choices, they have certain things that they say. And in order for you to be taken seriously, for people to consider you in your role, they would assume that you would understand industry language, right? They would make assumptions that I would know certain things around human resources, whether that's a certification program that's pretty popular, or the word SHRM, right? If you're not in HR, you have no idea what SHRM is, right? But most HR professionals know SHRM is Society of Human Resources, right? They know that's the organization, SHRM, Society of Human Resources Management, right? So everyone knows what that was. They knows what that is in the HR community, because that's just part of the language. That's part of the industry. That's just part of common knowledge. So when you're writing your resume, we want to make sure that you're using industry-specific terminology so that people know and understand that you know what you're talking about, that you're experienced, that you're professional, and that they need your expertise at their organization. Okay? Also, when we talk about career branding, we want to make sure that you have a qualification summary, right? So this is really what I call your elevator pitch. I call it your elevator pitch on paper. And this is really your value proposition. What do you stand for? What is your elevator pitch, right? Most people know me specifically as a global human resources person, because they know I worked overseas, that focuses on resumes and career development, right? They may know some other things, but for the most part, that's what people know about me, right? And that's because I've said it and written it and shared it over and over and over again. And that's the same thing we want for you. We want you to have a career brand that's so strong. When someone sees your name, someone sees your face, they make assumptions about what you're going to talk about. Anytime I go live, people just assume, even if I don't tell them what it is, that I'm going to be talking about careers. I'm going to be talking about people landing their dream jobs. I'm going to be talking about 6 figures in resumes and career development and career management, right? Because that is my value proposition. And if you don't know what yours is, then you need to spend some time and discover what that is for you. And I have a template on that. I didn't put that in the resource guide, but I think I might drop that in there because I think that's really important. I will do that, and I will share that with the group. I have a pyramid where I help people understand how they actually build their elevator speech. I'll drop that in the resources guide for those you guys who are on my list, to make sure you guys have access to the information. If you want to join, of course, go to bit.ly, that's bit.ly/Dr.Chips if you want access to the information. Okay. And then also how do you order your resume? I know many individuals, they get a template and they kind of stick to the template. They don't really like to change or make any separations, but I like to focus on things that make sense. And that's really around putting your credentials in the way, in the place, in the order that highlights you and makes the most sense. For example, if you're in an industry, if you're in an organization, if you're applying for an organization where you know there's a very, very high value on education, right? They think this is very, very important. Then, um, sorry, I had a question. I thought it was a question from this group. We were talking about oh yeah, placement on the page. So if you're applying for an organization that you know has a very high value of education, then guess what? Instead of your education being at the bottom of your page, it should probably be at the top, right? Because you know that's important to them. Okay. Or maybe you know that experience or qualifications, right? Certain types of experience are really important to an organization over education. They don't really care if you went to school or have certifications. They say as long as you have a high school diploma and this experience, we would love to have you. If that's the case, then you put your experience first. Okay. This is all about career branding and really highlighting your credentials in the best possible order that makes sense for your career brand, makes sense for your industry, and makes sense for what you want to do. And this is also how you can stand out so that your resume doesn't look the same as everybody else's, so it doesn't look cookie cutter, right? Okay, now we're moving down to page 4 of the checklist. Okay, guys? So again, this is the Get Hired Profitable Resume Checklist. And down on page 4, we're talking about relevancy. Okay? And this, again, I feel like is maybe one of my, I think I'm just, a little weird on this part. I think it's like my pet peeves. But is your resume targeted to a specific career goal, right? And is it not trying to be a one-size-fits-all resume? I know so many people that they have so much experience, so many different experiences, so much wonderful experience. They try to cram everything onto the same resume. And when they do that, they feel like I can apply for finance, I can apply for HR, I can apply for, accounting, I can apply for, healthcare. Like I have all this experience and it's really important that I share it. When you write a resume that fits everything, it fits nothing. It kind of falls into the void, right? We want to be relevant. We want to be specific around what our experiences and our skills are, right? To ensure that we are a match for the positions. Now, I know some people say, hey, Ashley, I hate applying for jobs. I'm applying for multiple jobs every day. I don't have time to customize one resume for every particular job. This is true. You don't actually have to do that. And if you ever part of my coaching community or have questions, there's really simple ways to update a resume in less than 2 minutes to customize it to apply for, let's say, an accounting job versus a finance job. It makes it look completely different. Right? And if that's something you don't want to deal with or something you want support on, then that's what we do with Resume ATM. We can talk about that later, but we can do that for you. If you're not really not really interested, right, in having to do this for yourself, or you're really busy, or, just understanding that job searching and like applying for positions is a time-consuming and sometimes very emotional process, you can outsource that to us. I have a team that's dedicated to helping you guys, helping overlooked job seekers like land their dream job. We can customize your resume. We can send you the job alerts, and we can actually apply on your behalf. So if that's something you're interested in, you can go to resumeatm.com. You can sign up and get more information. Of course, if you have any questions, you can let me know. But we think it's important that you make sure that your profile resume is relevant. When your job is relevant, when your resume is relevant, that's, in my experience, where the money comes in. When I'm able to highlight my experience specifically in areas that are important to that job, that's where the money comes, right? When I applied for my job in Japan, right, it was an international assignment. I had never worked in Asia. Okay, full disclosure. My first time being in Asia was working in Japan for my international job, right? But I had international experience in human resources, in compliance, in development, all these other areas. So when I updated my resume, I made sure that my resume was relevant to this position, even though I didn't have Asian experience, okay? Or experience in Asia, specifically in HR, when it comes to that. So relevancy is very, very important. And then your work experience, right? You want to make sure that, your work experience is accurate, that we're not accidentally lying, that we're checking dates and times, and they're writing things in a way that is compelling, right? I know sometimes every bullet point on your resume can't be awesome. Sometimes you just file papers, right? And it's okay, right? Sometimes you just file papers. You can't make that sound sexy, and that's fine. But not every bullet point should be I filed papers, I did this, I did that, right? It should be powerful, it should be amazing, and it should be showcasing your strengths, your talents, and the amazing abilities that you got paid to do. And then moving down to the final page, which is my favorite page, excuse me, my favorite section, and that is accomplishments, okay? Your resume should focus on accomplishments. You should have sections dedicated to accomplishments. Each one of your work experiences should have accomplishments. We want to make sure that our accomplishments are documented using numbers, if and when possible, and metrics, right? We want to make sure that you can showcase how you were valuable to your current and past employers instead of just listing your responsibilities. Okay, if you're an HR generalist, that is great. I've been an HR generalist. I typically know what an HR generalist does. But what did you accomplish? Did you implement a new system, right? Did you decrease costs, right? Did you save time? Like, what did you do to make a difference in the organization? That's all an accomplishment is. And the more that you can showcase that, my experience has been the more money you can make. When I can articulate, hey, I helped streamline a performance management system for 1,000 people. That sounds really different than I inputted information into a talent management system, right? I mean, I did have to do that. I did have to do compliance. There's lots of things that had to be done to get to the end result. But the end result was that over 1,500 people now had access to a performance management tool, right? And I was able to impact their lives and document their bonuses and do all these other amazing things because I had to interface with all these other departments, okay? So you guys really need to focus on accomplishments because they're so, so important. And if you need help and support in documenting your accomplishments, I recommend everybody to use the STAR methodology. So for those of you who do not know, STAR methodology stands for Situation, Task, Action, Result. It is a interview technique that we utilize, has been utilized literally, I guess it's at this point, 15, 20 years or more, on how to answer behavioral-based interview questions. If you take the time up front to identify your STAR answers and incorporate them into your resume, you'll already have the answers to the interview on your resume, and then people will want to contact you to talk about these amazing experiences. Okay? And accomplishments, you can use the STAR methodology to write out your accomplishments in that way and add it to your resume. And again, as I always say, you want to make sure that you include numbers to quantify that experience where possible, even if you have to round it up. Time, money, dollars, measurements of any kind is really what's going to make your resume profitable. Okay? So in terms of today, stop doubting, start living, 3 secrets to your career breakthrough. Check out the previous training because we talked all about clarity being number 1, right? And how healing work hurt can get you to clarity if you haven't fully processed some of the experiences you had in corporate America. And then today, phase 2 is having a profitable resume. And that's shifting your mindset so you can shift the document so that you can make 6 figures and be contacted by other people for positions instead of having to actually apply out. And of course, next week we'll talk about number 3, which is all about action planning and how to put together a successful job searching strategy so you don't have to apply for hundreds if not thousands of jobs on LinkedIn and on other places, because I've heard so many stories. I've seen so many people online saying they've applied for hundreds if not thousands of jobs. And I have to be honest, I've been unemployed in several times in my career. I've never applied for thousands, if not hundreds of jobs. I don't think that's realistic. I think that's emotionally draining. There's so many things I think that shouldn't be happening. But you shouldn't have to apply for that many positions. If you are, I would have some questions around maybe we're not being specific enough. Maybe we have some other things we can talk about. That's more like a coaching conversation, not like a training conversation. So for those of you who are saying, hey, Ashley, this is great. How do I get access to this document that you are reading from? The checklist, if you go to resources, you go to bit.ly, that's bit.ly/Dr-tips, that's DRDASH tips, all lowercase. There should be a link floating below. You can go that you get signed up to be part of the Experience Career Freedom community. And in that community, you'll get access to the link to the folder with all of the information that I'm sharing today and actually all month long for International Update Your Resume Month. And for those of you who are saying, hey, Ashley, this sounds great. This sounds wonderful. But you know what? This sounds time consuming. And I actually don't want to be the person to do this. I would actually love to outsource that. you can totally outsource that to myself and my team. We are, again, Resume ATM. We are an automated online job searching assistant where we help overlooked job seekers land your dream job. And we do that in 3 particular ways. First, what we do is we customize your resume. So all the wonderful things talked about having a profitable resume, we actually do that for you. We ask the right questions. We get the information so that your resume is beautiful and shiny and beautiful and amazing and profitable so that we can actually get you interviews. Okay, that's number one. So that's the first thing we do. And before we even move forward, you have to approve it. You have to say, yes, this makes sense. I love this. Let's move forward. Once you move past step 1, you move to step 2. You tell us what job you want. What are you interested in, right? And we tell them what you're interested in. Every week, you'll get job alerts. Every single week without fail, we'll send you job alerts. And we say, hey, are you interested in any of these jobs? And if so, let us know which ones, right? And that leads to step number 3, which I think is some of our clients' favorite part, to be honest. And that is we'll actually apply for the positions on your behalf, right? Which means we'll customize your resume, right? We'll do all the heavy lifting. We'll find the jobs that are matched for what you say you want to do. And then you tell us, hey, I'm actually interested in this job. And when you tell us that, we'll actually apply for those positions for you every week, as long as you're a member of Resume ATM. So if you're interested in that, you can go to resumeatm.com and sign up. For those of you who have questions around the investment, it is $50 per month. So you can, there's no contract, there's no obligation. If you want to use this for 1 month and never use this again, because you land your dream job, to be honest, that will be amazing and successful for us. Like, that would be exciting. If you want to stay with us 3 months or 2 months or whatever, however you want to do that, that's completely up to you. You don't have to stay. There's not like a mandatory, you must be with us this amount of time. Okay. And just for transparency, this is for International Update Your Resume Month. It's $50. After the end of September, moving into October, for new members, the price will be going up to $75. Okay. So if you're currently a Resume ATM member, you're with us, don't worry. We're not changing the price. You're locked in. Your grandfathered in at your price. But if you sign up with us after September, and if you move into October 1, then you definitely will be charged a higher price if you're interested in moving forward in your career in terms of us helping you with Resume ATM. So I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. Appreciate you guys for sticking with me with the technical issues. We're going to get those worked out hopefully this weekend, but I'm glad that I was able to be up here and share the information. Again, if you're a part of the community, just check your email. This form is already in your inbox. It was in your inbox earlier today. If you want to join, go to bit.ly/Dr.-Tips to join the community and get access to resources. And if you're like, hey, Ashley, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the emotional capacity, or you want some help in terms of your job search, then you can definitely run over to resumeatm.com. Learn some information, and then, of course, join the community. There's a button at the bottom where you can invest. This is $50 per month for the month of September to get started, and we can help you land your dream job. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. Let me know. If you're watching the replay, let me know if you have any questions. I always come back to make sure that we answer everything. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. So until next time, this is Dr. Ashley Dash, founder of Resume ATM. I'll talk with you guys soon. Bye-bye for now.